you're doing a podcast now.
Exactly.
Belinda, how are you?
Good. How are you,
I'm
Andrew? It's been feels like a journey since I saw you.
Well, aligning the schedules to kind of get each other available at the right time is the biggest challenge, I think.
Well, I think previously to this, I had no time.
Yeah.
No time to
Yeah,
do
you're a busy
things
woman.
for Belinda. It's funny because I'm so excited to be all pretty because at S XPO for the past 4.5 years, it's not pretty. Belinda's not pretty. I think finally at a few of them, I'll do something, but I've got a butt bag. I'm sweating. My hair hasn't been washed for a few days. It's not a good look.
It's hectic.
It's hectic. It's been hectic. And
have you been happy with how they've been going though, or how they were?
I had a great time. Obviously, it was a lot of work. I loved being involved in the adult industry in Australia that heavily, and I loved meeting all of our contributors. And I say that broadly because it's from AV to performers to sex ed to the stripper rooms. All of that has been really. I'm gonna get verklempt already. It's been really.
Shall I go get the tissues?
I know, right? It's been really embracing, and it's been actually really great for me to see how far the adult industry in Australia has come, and I'm really proud. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, we've got a long way to go.
But that's only a small minority time, right?
Right. I think definitely with S XPO, we were emulating some things that are definitely international. And when I joined the team in 2019, October 1st, they were big pictures that we had, especially the United States. And I believe that, S XPO has been around for 27 years.
Yeah.
So it's a brand that is synonymous with Australia and with the sex industry or the adult industry.
And so what type of things did you see internationally that we kind of replicated here? So
when I lived in the States for 25 years, actually from the first, I arrived in the riots, so 1992. So from the end of that year, I was working with a photographer. I was a model back then and an actress.
I can see that.
My blue steel. He was the photographer at the AVNs. And the AVNs were at the Mayan, downtown LA, which is it's a big venue, beautiful theater downtown. And I ended up working there twice through LA as a bartender, on and off.
Right.
Which was amazing. But it was funny because I didn't even know what AVNs are. I took my boyfriend at the time, of course it was the 90s, who had long hair. It was totally a rocker. And he thought this was the best thing ever. I remember being backstage and taking photos with, I don't even know who it was back then. But they thought I was in the industry. And my photographer friend was like, oh no, she's my assistant. Right?
Safeguarding.
It was an eye-opener. Since then, which was end of 1992, I probably went to AVNs, I want to say half a dozen times. I worked with a company called Wicked Pictures, and during the time I worked with a specific director it was high-end videos back then, and he was winning awards. So we were there. Then also one of my best friends in Los Angeles, Nicole McCauley, was a huge makeup artist. So I went with her some crazy times that I was her assistant.
You've probably got some crazy stories.
Avians are crazy. I mean, people here in Australia think I'm crazy. I am vanilla.
Wow.
Yeah. I am vanilla comparatively.
I think we're so isolated here, aren't they? Which is
you can't even shoot porn here, so you know what I mean?
It's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because we're do we have rose-colored glasses on, like rose-tinted about reality of what's happening outside? You know,
Yeah,
like
well,
on the other side of the world.
And I talk about AVM, but Sexpo is quite different because it's a adult lifestyle expo.
Correct.
AVN is basically a conference. Sure, you can go there and meet a lot of people in the industry, but there's also a lot of business to business that gets done throughout the week. And actually, the award show is really majority only for industry people.
Yeah.
Well, it was back then. I know that they've done a bit of a revamp. So I think like star-wise and obviously expo-wise or conference-wise, there's some similarities. But I think Sexpo, we definitely, and I'm not sure about the people before me, but we wanted to bring it to the whole audience. You know what I mean? To the public. AVNs, I wouldn't suggest it to the public. Like, I mean, sure, I would if that's what you're into. If that's what you're into, sure. Sexpo, I would say bring anyone. You know, I mean, anyone whose mind you want to blow, whose eyes you want to open, or for an experience. And that's what I think having an expo, especially at convention centers, that's what it's all about, is having an experience.
And I think, as you say, it being a lifestyle expo, there were a lot of sessions where, you know, people were talking about techniques or talking about topics, you know, relationship-wise and stuff
sex
like
ed
that.
is something that obviously I'm very passionate about, and I think that we emulated that with Sexpo and we grew that area pretty rapidly. I feel it became a very topical and busy stage. There's 5 stages at Sexpo. And we also had kink, which was always busy. I think people are very intrigued by the whole kink spectrum.
They're curious.
Yeah. Oh, everyone is. You know, you see Mistress Tokyo with a guy in a balloon and a rubber suit, and you're like, what is going on there? And I think bringing that to the public is what we wanted to do. And you know, don't judge your love or your kink or your thing. You know what I mean? Because people are people, and this is how they are pleasured and turned on, and everybody deserves pleasure.
Yeah. So I'm assuming like it was such a great response in the times that, you know, the talks occurred.
Yeah, there was always, it was hard because it was difficult, you know, for somebody to say to somebody who wants to talk on the sex ed stage, like, please don't make it a commercial break. Please entertain them and give us some information. And then that's why you have a stand. You can, you know, my stand is back here if you want some more information, but it needed to be poppy. It was only 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And you needed to capture the audience. And once we had a team that started to do that, which I pretty much the whole time I was there, there were definitely great seminars and talks, and there were definitely ones that didn't listen to the advice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't, especially if it's a sponsor or something.
Did you blacklist them?
We never
You're not coming
blacklisted
back.
anyone. We never blacklisted anyone. Sometimes we had to change things around.
Just give them a tap.
We would suggest, hey, why don't you do something better? Or why don't you do this? Or I would suggest one of our speakers to work with them. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them too, especially some of the people that are important, you know, it's like, how do we get erectile dysfunction to be cool? Well, we had Luke Skews talk about penis. And it became a great talk. And, you know, it evolved with the crowd and what we were doing. And we also had a Tantra temple that was sensational. It was that bit of hand on heart that we wanted to offer to people. And I mean, Moonrose did it, and her team did an amazing job. I just kept saying to Moonrose the whole time, I just want to be you. I just want to be in the Tantra temple. I just want to hang out here when I've got phones and things all over me. And they just always give me these big hugs, and I just melt and be like, oh, yeah, that's where I want to be. And I still say that to her to this day. I can't wait to go to her venue. You know, and there were so many beautiful people that came together for things just to try to touch those people. And I think that was the reward for me. And that's why you work so hard. That's why you last so long. And that's why we do these impossible things at times.
Yeah.
It's what is the reward? You know what the reward is to me? I squeaked like a squeaky tool. Yeah. The reward to me is looking out over the crowd, sweat drenched when I'm like so tired and just seeing their faces like,
yeah.
That is the gold.
That's your purpose, right?
That is the gold. That is my purpose. And we tick that box. I mean, one thing that we did was when we came out of COVID, we wanted a really amazing main stage show. It took a long time, and unfortunately it didn't continue, but Babylon was a standalone show in my eyes. Yeah.
Babylon was a standalone show.
Well, it was supposed to be, but anyway, that
was the year that I won a competition from kittens to fly to S XPO Brisbane.
Oh my God, that was the first Babylon.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
that
you
was
knew
amazing.
the story behind all that, yeah, of course it was amazing. But yeah, it's not without drama, let me tell you.
Yeah.
That one was a little touch and go, but when you saw it on stage, it was phenomenal. Not to say that anything before or after that wasn't phenomenal, but that was purposefully built. It was 13 performers. It was 4 different acts over the day. You know, we experimented a lot with timing and things like that for Sexpo because out of COVID, there was still a number of restrictions.
Yeah.
So we had to work out how can we get enough people in the door to make it count, you know what I mean?
Right. So so COVID restrictions meant that you had to limit the number of like
especially
patrons.
the first year. Yep.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that happened. I mean, when I think about Sexpo, it's like a bad relationship. When you think about it, all the good things just come to mind first and you forget about all the bad things. You know what I mean? I can't even remember a bad thing right now except for the fact that we didn't have shows at the end of the year.
That's a good thing, though.
It's a great thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
because that's an achievement.
Even packing the truck, which was like, I refused in the end, but I still did it because I'm a team player and I was not going to leave Adam alone. But you can even look back and laugh about some of the ridiculous things we had to do. It's like, oh my God, the game of bones, which is the big cock chair. We carry that around, you know. And you break one of those things. We had to make a new one at some point. It's expensive.
Yeah.
So, like, we had to treat that like gold.
And how many people were sitting on that every single day?
Just traveling it there to the show. You know, we break it into pieces. We have to wrap it all up, putting it back together. Yeah, making sure that people can't pull those dongs off. I mean, it's like crazy. Remember we had the creators rooms.
Yeah.
That all has to come on a truck too.
Yeah.
That was, you know, really fun. I think trying things and seeing how they worked were great. At the end of the day, obviously, it's a show and it comes down to budget as well. And we manipulated the budget throughout the years to make the best of what we had. And I feel like the team that we had at the Australian Exhibition Group throughout the years was, you know, so great and so strong that Adam and I basically mind read each other, you know. So it's like we wouldn't even have to say anything. It'd just be like, okay, yep, we know what we're doing by the end. So it's really sad, and I'm not going to cry, but it's really sad that the last 2 shows of last year, 2024, couldn't happen because I feel like they would have been some of the best. You know, we also at the Australian Exhibition Group had tattoo shows as well through there and rites of passage. So there were 5 shows essentially.
Are those still running? No.
Unfortunately, that
stuff happens.
I'm not at liberty to really say, you know, the details. I know that it's with administrators. Fingers crossed, though, looking hopeful for this year. they're great companies, great shows, and hopefully someone will pick them up.
Yeah.
And if they do pick them up, I am available for contract price now. But I'm definitely happy to help.
Anybody listening, give
Yeah, exactly.
Belinda a shout out, a message.
I'm definitely happy to help. At the end of the year, I was like, where's the shows? I feel a bit like, oh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd stepped away from the company full time in April of last year. I was burnt out, to be honest.
Yeah.
I had never experienced burnout like that, and I'm a hard worker. It was probably coinciding with some other things happening in my life, like getting older.
You're not that old. Didn't you say you just did modelling as well? Back in the day?
Back in the day, yeah, but
we'll talk about that in a second.
Just hormones, everything, burnout. I was like I couldn't cope. I couldn't cope with simple things.
You just got to stay quiet. Keep the hormones down.
Yeah. The one thing that happened was my dad is very prominent in my life, and he hadn't been well, and we had been doing lots of things together. Anyway, he called me one time when I was really busy, and I had taught him to say this, I guess. He said, I'm sorry to call you during work. I know that I'm not supposed to. I was like, so that was a big moment where I was like, oh, things have got to change. You know what I mean? If my dad can't call me at work for whatever it is, can't even remember what it was, but it was those words that I was like,
hey, at least he's calling you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he doesn't. He never does.
Shout out to Dad.
Yeah, he never really did call me. So
my dad called me once a year around my birthday.
That's good.
Well, the year before he passed away, he didn't call me on my birthday. He called me 2 months earlier, and I was like, "It's not my birthday."
Was he passed on your birthday?
No. He
forgot.
No, he was calling to tell me he was having a heart operation.
Oh.
But he called it a standard heart operation.
Right. They never tell the truth.
Because they're like, he goes, they put a stint in a couple of years ago. They're just going in to clean it up. Well, he had a brain aneurysm after he came out of surgery. And then we found out it was a triple bypass.
Oh, yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. Aging parents. And on the note of your past dad, this is why I'm trying to spend as much time as possible with dad. And it's not always happy, joy, but I bring as much sunshine as I possibly can to his life.
Yeah.
And we have a good time. That's what I wanted to do.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what, the stepping away from full-time work was all about, just so I could spend time with dad. And during the 4 years, dad was even worse at some point, just after COVID. And the team, especially Kevin, was very, very compassionate to me, especially with my dad. And, I was back on the Gold Coast as much as I possibly could, in and out of all of the shows and all the work that we were doing. So, yeah, I feel lucky to have been able to spend the time with him, and now perhaps spend more time with him this year.
You never thought about moving to the Gold Coast?
I lived on the Gold Coast. I grew up on the Gold Coast. I love the Gold Coast. Yeah, born in Sydney, raised on the Gold Coast, lived in the States.
Hang on.
I know.
What do you mean? Where did this accent come from?
LA, baby. LA, bitches.
Because I thought you were American.
Nope.
Oh.
I know. It's only taken you a year to work that out.
Yeah.
This is really funny, this part, the pussy, that I'm allergic to.
Yeah. Larry.
But they always love me, but
come here, buddy.
I'm allergic.
Come here.
That's okay.
He thinks he's a dog.
I know, right? That's okay. Just stay there.
Yeah. Don't get any closer.
I love the Gold Coast. It's just a small town. And it's growing. I say it in a very loving way. I just spent 2 weeks there. It was phenomenal. But that's it for me. And now I'm back to the big city. I mean, if I had my way in 2016, maybe it was late 2015, I think. attempted to go back to the States.
Oh.
It was very exciting, actually, because finally I had basically I had a lawyer, and I had an agent, and I had basically an acting visa in process, kind of thing.
So you were going to be an actor?
Well, I was an actor over there, but I finally got a visa for it. So when I was in the States, I kept getting modeling visas, which were just easy for me. I still did the acting and everything, but
Right.
so this was like a big deal for me.
That
you
is
know what
a
I mean?
big deal.
Well, I got turned around, and
At the airport?
at the airport. Yeah,
Why?
it's a long story, but
You had too many dildos in your bag.
I didn't have any. But I fortunately they didn't find anything that was in my bag. Lucky me.
Oh.
But I
So
was
it was
a
got to do with
smart
like
ass.
your visa?
Well, it wasn't anything to do with my visa. Well, it was because I was on the visa waiver. So
Right.
when you take the visa waiver, you say that you've not broken a federal law in your country or their country.
Yeah.
And the guy, the customs guy, said to me, I was almost through. I was calling my friend, going, "Hey, I'm going to come out in a minute." And then the guys were like, I had 4 bags. I was going to Aspen for 3 months.
Yeah.
So I had 4 big bags, and they were like, "What are you doing, trying to move here?" I'm like, no. That went over to this next guy, and he was basically like, he was hot, and I was already sweating. And I was like, oh my God, what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? And he was like, oh, well, when was the last time you smoked weed? And I was like, well, probably the last time I was in Colorado. That was the problem. So that was a federal law. I didn't know at that point. They still asked me a whole bunch of questions, and I dug that hole much deeper. But I had a
Belinda,
rap
you just
sheet.
got to keep your
I
mouth
know.
shut.
I just got to lie. I'm just not a good liar. You know what I mean? And I didn't know. So what happened, I ended up in jail. They turned me around and got back on the Qantas plane 13 hours later.
Shit.
But in the holding area, there were all these girls, and the guys kept coming in, the customs guys, and laughing, going, look at how many women are in here today. What they were doing, because I became friends with that guy, the customs, yeah. So funnily enough, he was like texting me the next day going, when are we going to go walking? When are you going to train with me? I'm like, bitch, you were the one that turned me around. Like, is this a
Yeah.
conspiracy now? Like,
How bizarre.
anyway, so he told me they were profiling women in a certain age group, single on the visa waiver because the Paris bombing had just happened.
Ah,
So they were profiling.
right.
So they're asking you a specific question to catch you out.
Right.
So there was a girl from Amsterdam who's legal there, but not in LA. I mean, not in the United States.
Yeah.
It is legal in LA, but the federal law is different. So she was getting turned back too. She couldn't work it out. She couldn't barely speak the language. So she was like, why are they turning me around? Anyway, I had said for my whole life, like, oh, what's the worst possible thing they can do? Send me home. So they did that.
Literally.
Yeah. And then I lost my acting visa, and I haven't been back to the States since. Just because I'm scared. Like, I went back and
Fuck it,
forth
you
so
don't
long.
need it.
I'm going back this year.
Oh shit. To
Some way I'm going back.
do modeling.
My younger brother lives in Venice, California right now. My best friend just moved back to Cali. So she's been in Connecticut on the East Coast
Nice.
for a few years. So I was like, nah, but now she's back. My other best friend is in Arizona. So yeah, I think it's time. You know, Melbourne's a great city, but yeah, I'm like, okay, ready for the big city again.
Melbourne is a great city. It does. I think it's probably one of the best. It is the best city in Australia because it's got a bit of everything.
Yeah, if
You
you're
know?
going to stay here full time, I found that I'm just a little bit of a gypsy. I'm just, you know.
You like to move around.
I like to move around. I like to see new things. That's why I was kind of involved with shows similar to S XPO or that kind of an environment for a long time. Even production, you know, movie production, that's similar because you're in a different spot maybe every week.
It's kind of like carny lifestyle.
Gypsy.
Isn't it?
I'm a gypsy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it's a
you-
bit carny.
You can't be locked down and you just like problem solve like on the fly.
I love coming home. You know, don't get me wrong. Like, I like to come home to some base that I know. And I guess in LA, it's such a big city and so broad. It's like I never got bored there. But I traveled and I rodeoed and I did a lot of things all the time. So I'm always moving.
Where did the drive to be like to have this passion of like sex education come into it? Like you said that before. Like
Yeah.
you wanted to, you know, kind of give the Australian public like this opportunity to learn more about it.
I think that we are not taught sex education at all. And I feel like I was quite enlightened, I guess, sexually, only because I was sexy. And I wasn't trying to be. It's funny to say, I'm like a tomboy and I'm, you know, rough around the edges. And I guess when you're polished, I was like, I wasn't trying to be sexy. I just kind of emulated. So
Just kind of happened.
yeah, it just kind of happened. And I ended up, you know, being in movies because I wanted to act. And then when I had to be nude, I was like, oh, no problem there. You know what I mean? So then it kind of just segued into this whole me being sexy and doing all these sexy movies. And
What movies were they?
I have 37 movies and 7 TV shows
What the fuck?
of the erotic genre.
Oh,
I mean, I have some other movies that are slasher movies and things like that, but it was, you know, I was pre-IMDb, so most of the movies still, they can be from 2000, but pre that, I mean, I still had a 10-year body of work, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, so the sex education came from basically, I think, just meeting people along the way that had no idea. And then when I came to Australia, I was like, look at all this education that's on offer, but it's not getting to the right people. Maybe it's getting to adults because we can't talk to children about it, but are you getting it then? You know what I mean? I think systemically we are doing it the wrong way. I think we need to educate our children from a very young age. I mean, they're growing up so fast now.
So fast.
Yeah. I mean, I have friends that have 12-year-olds that are, you know, like already about to have their periods and stuff. It's like, wow, you know? So this is when we need to unstigmatize the talk and the conversations. When it hit me in Australia when I was here is my best friend has an autistic daughter and she was starting to develop and want things. And my friend's like, what do we do? Take her to... And I was like, I don't even know what to do. You know what I mean? Like how? And eventually they went to a store, they worked it out. I was working with S XPO at the time and I was like, look at all this information here, but how do we get it to the people? So that's still, I guess, one of my passion projects. And at S XPO, we definitely did get it to the people. You know what I mean? Here's a show, da, da, da. But by, like I said, making it fun, making people interact, making it, I always said that if one person can take away one thing from any bit of S XPO, that was like, ooh.
Yeah, you've done your job.
Job done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's nothing wrong with sex. There's nothing wrong with being in the sex industry. It is a commitment. Like, I'm not going to lie about that. You're in. Once you're in, you're in. You know what I mean? But not everyone is a Stedford wife. Is that the right thing to say now? Because I think they're coming back. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with being vanilla or having a quite a normal life.
A Karen.
A Karen. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Karen. I'm not trying to discount it.
Sorry,
I'm just saying that.
Sorry, Karens.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, you know, I was like, I'm happy to push the boundaries. I wanted to try everything. You know, I lived in LA from when I just turned 21. I was like at the AVNs at 21. You know what I mean? I'm like, look at all these fun people, like open in their sexuality, embracing their sexuality, having fun. Sure, there's horror stories with every industry. You know what I mean? And of course, especially in the adult industry, you have to take care of yourself. No one's going to do it, but that's the same in every industry.
It is.
We're
Just it's the one man band, you know, like when
it's
you're
so great.
when
I
you're a
love it.
one man band.
I know,
it's
right?
like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't have a Jamie. I'd love a Jamie, but you know,
Who's Jamie?
that's the Joe Rogan guy.
Oh, okay, right.
He's in the background.
So I'm loving the podcast. How is it going?
It's going really good. So look, so first year I did like 87 episodes.
Wow. Was that last year?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
great.
15th of December was the
Congratulations.
anniversary.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I just love it. Like I've had so many people on, and a friend of mine said to me before Christmas, he was like, dude, like you've like sat down with like 87 different people and had conversations with them for like an hour and a half minimum.
Yeah, exactly.
And learned about them. Like, when do you actually get to do that?
Exactly. But
Like-
that's why podcasts are so great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can choose to listen as much as you want or as much as you don't.
Yeah.
And you know what I found is I just before this I sent out a couple of others that I'd done, and you always catch the people that didn't watch them, and I get such funny messages going, I never knew that about you. And so I'm always like, can you just listen to it and you'll learn a little more about me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes people are like, oh, Belinda ran S XPO, or, you know, I won some awards. And actually I hosted the Adult Choice Awards this year. It was a big show. But yeah, I won a few awards and things like that. But there's a lot more that comes with the package than just what has been seen, I guess, in the past 4.5 years.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because like people will tend to pick and choose what they want to look at. And then also it's also, I guess, a little bit by chance as well, like what comes up on their feed or whatnot.
Yeah,
you know?
of course.
If they're interested, they'll dive a little bit deeper and then they'll go, oh, wow, like I didn't know that about Andrew or didn't know that about Belinda, you know? Whereas for me, like my perspective is, I've like had like your episode 91.
Yeah.
Sorry, 92. And I'm like, you know, I'm trying to get to 100. Like that's going to happen, you know, pretty soon.
Yeah, very soon.
And then it's like triple digits. And then the next milestone's like 500 or like 1,000. And,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, just keep going.
And learning about people and, you know, expressing what we're doing.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more about it, and I think that it definitely opens people up. It was funny. I did a podcast with Lavinia from Perth, and this is, I mean, I would say this to anybody who, I said it to everybody who wants to have an interview or whatever. I'm like, just Google me and send me. I sent in the Google. They're like, oh, no one's ever told me to just Google them. I'm like, well, I just didn't have time to put it all down. You know what I mean? I'm like, where do I start?
You know, I don't Google anybody.
Well, I didn't care because I'm like, Andrew kind of knows me. We'll talk about whatever.
Yeah. I had, I've been caught out 3 times. The first time was I had Brennan on from Sisters Doll. And so he's the lead singer of Sisters Doll and Bunbury band. He like started this band with his 3 brothers, so there's 4 of them, and then he came over here and I was like, that's cool, man, you know? And he's like, yeah, we did the whole TV thing. You know, I'm like, TV? He's like, yeah, like the reality TV show thing. It's like,
You're like, what?
It was like it was an experience, he said. And I was like, that's cool. I said, which one were you on? And he's like, oh, The Voice.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Wow.
And I was like, where did you place? Second.
You're like, clearly I don't watch the show. You know?
I had no idea. I apologized to him. It's like, no, it's all good. But like, I think it's my thing because I don't want to like get nervous or anxious. I mean, not that I would, but like, I just want to treat people like a real person.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah.
And like, you get the reaction that you get because I literally don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I thought today I'd just come and talk about, 2025. Let's move into 2025.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
What are you doing?
I know, right?
Were you going to LA?
Oh God, it makes me nervous just thinking about it. I really want to go to LA. Hopefully, maybe by the end of the year. I've got a few things already happening at the beginning of the year.
Oh, exciting.
It is exciting. I've kind of been involved with these resort takeovers, adult resort takeovers.
Mhm.
I was just hanging out with them a little bit, and then at the end of last year, we went to Thailand to a new venue. So the venue was spectacular. Once again, it's doing events. So after the
A-
end,
Adult resorts.
yeah, so you take over the whole resort. So there's a
Oh,
resort, and it's got 26 rooms. So there's 26 couples. Basically, Lifestyle Getaways is a swinger event company.
Gotcha.
So those guys have been, Simone and Darren are amazing operators. They have been sold out they're sold out till November this year. So they've been sold out for a couple of years because they only have 26 rooms, which 26 is a great number. And they organize over 7 days, events and fancy dress parties and things like
How
this.
did you get involved in that? Is it just because of your involvement in S XPO and everything else?
To be
that you've
honest,
been
I
doing,
have
or-
I have some really amazing family friends that are swingers, and when I've known them for ages. I knew them from the Gold Coast actually, and then when I moved to Melbourne, they were in Melbourne at this point, and they took me to Saints and Sinners first. And I mean, they've been trying to take me for years, and I just hadn't got around to it. And I was like, oh, this is so much fun. So I'm a bit of whether I'm a unicorn or I don't know, a voyeur, or, I don't know, a nudist. I just love
An amateur.
vanilla. I'm like, I just love the environment.
Cosmopolitan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I bartended throughout LA, worked in clubs, promoted parties, did all that. Long story short, I guess I met some amazing humans through this friendship that we've had for going on 10, 15 years now.
Yeah.
So in the past 4.5 years, I've gone to a lot of events with them. This resort takeover thing, I was like, saw bigger. You know what I mean? Immediately, I'm like, oh my God, we need more people to be here. Or what about if it's just not swingers? You know what I mean? Like, what about if it's everybody? So then I was like researching and finding out what other kind of things. And it kind of parlays into some other areas. But this is the starting kind of area, I think, because who doesn't want to be? The first place we went to was in Bali called Pink Coco. And actually, I'm going there for my birthday this year in May, the 11th to the 19th. But I'm going to the yoga festival before that. But yeah, it's a resort where you can be clothing optional and it's adults only. Thank God. But when you do a takeover, there's 50 people there. You know what I mean? So it's just such an amazing vibe. And then I looked at
Is it because it's so intimate?
I think it's like-minded people. I can be nude in the pool. You know, it's a fun-loving people.
Yeah.
It's not, for me, it's not always about hooking up there and then, because I do like to go to the spas, especially here in Melbourne. Wet on Wellington is my favorite venue.
That was a Dr. Evil.
The Wet on Wellington, my favorite event there is the girl event. And Wet on Wellington is an amazing venue. It's got like a 25-meter pool in there. Anyway, so 26 rooms, they're like, let's go bigger. So at the resort next door in Thailand, there is another resort. It's not a naturalist resort or a nudist resort, which the other one was, but we're hoping we can talk them into it. It's 150 rooms though. The resort, as soon as I went there, I'm getting chills talking about it. It's like dance, like a full moon party, dance party immediately. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a big pool throughout. So, you know, maybe that's the next step.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. It's a little bit of work. It's a lot of work. And some of our marketing was taken away because we didn't have any shows. So So it's kind of a few strategies will need to be changed. And the resort that we're actually at already with the 26 rooms has a lot of potential. I mean, the one next door with 150 rooms is phenomenal, but the language barrier is the first start. The gentleman who owns the other resort is French and speaks English very well, and he understands, I guess, what we're doing. He's had a lot of nudist events and things like that there, or naturalist events. And you can be nude all the way to the beach, like on the whole property. And it was an amazing Thailand experience for me. I'd never been to Thailand. I went to Patong for one night at each end of that, and I was like, I've been here and done all this. It's like, what I mean? But this was 3 hours away from Patong and civilization, basically.
Secluded.
Very secluded.
It's like you're out, that you're out on your own, and like that
Absolutely.
you're not going to like come in contact with people that you shouldn't, you know. And
in saying that, it's not, there's some certain things that you have to be careful of because of the culture and religions, as we said.
Yeah.
But that's why just adult, and if we go to the resort next door, maybe we don't have to be nude all the time. Maybe there's a couple of nude events, or maybe you have to go to the other resort. My brain goes, so we have to get into the nuts and bolts of that this year.
The logistics of
it. I this morning before I came here, I was saying, I'm trying to just do one thing, and trying being the proverbial word. So, you know what I mean? I just kind of want to minimalize things.
I'm doing one thing.
Yeah, well, I'm not, obviously. Because the other one thing, and it's I haven't spoken about this publicly as Belinda.
Oh, shit. It's exclusive.
Well, I mentioned it like last year, but I am working as Kylie Wyote as an escort.
There you go.
So, yeah, I was moonlighting when I was working at S XPO as well. And it was lucrative, very enjoyable. I've always been somebody in a relationship who's like, ugh, when are you going to fuck me again? Ugh. And that's not sexy, right? So it's like.
Did you seriously pull that face?
Yeah. Like.
Bro, you need to calm down with the Red Bull.
Exactly. Well, I can't have Red Bull. But yeah, I'm always like, oh, okay. Like, can we have sex again? So I'm starting to like realize that this is all fun, work, satisfying in many, many ways. It doesn't leave much place for any dating because I'm like not interested at all.
No.
At this point, I've been married 3 times. I'm like, whatever. I love my own time. My dad is my main man. So yeah, this year is not about romance really. It's about work, which can be romantic for me because I'm quite sexy.
It sounds like this year is about you.
Yeah, about me, exactly.
Making you a priority.
Making me a priority.
Because all the previous years, it was other people.
Other people, other things,
And so you're really wanting to do things that make you happy.
Yeah.
Spend time with your dad, do things that you love doing.
Yeah. Go to resort takeovers and get nude. That's really it, right? The retirement plan.
Make money.
Make money.
Like that type of stuff.
Yeah, I really, really love my own time. And
I fucking love my own time.
Yeah. I
love it so much it annoys me.
It's actually dangerous, I think, for other people because it's like, what are you going to offer me? And it must be difficult because I don't need anything. And that's, I think, when you probably find a good relationship when you don't need anything. It's like somebody that you just want to hang out with, and the best part about my life, I guess, is I have plenty of great friends, plenty of great fuck buddies if I wanted to, you know what I mean? And scattered all over the country. And now amazing clients as well, you know what I mean?
No wonder you're a fucking hard woman to catch.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun. I love country Victoria.
Yeah.
I love Perth, love Sydney, love Brisbane. I'm yet to go to Darwin, but I'm excited to.
You should catch the train up there.
Again?
Yeah.
My God, my dad wants to do that so bad.
You should do it with him.
I'd love to. It's now getting out of the apartment that he helped me purchase on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
because he loves it. It's tiny, but he's happy there.
Yeah.
It was the biggest yes moment this Christmas. He's like, oh, I don't want to do anything for my 80th. He wanted to come to Melbourne and Sydney. And he's like, because I'm comfortable here. Yes.
Oh, that's good.
I know.
Shout out to Dad again.
Hopefully he's not listening. This is maybe a little too much, this one.
Hey, if he made it to 80,
Next year, yeah.
that's pretty good.
He's a trooper.
My dad only made it to 64.
Ooh, that was my mom.
That's harsh.
Yeah, that was my mom. Parents dying. It's a huge, one of the biggest things you'll have to go through.
Yeah, and then the fallout from afterwards is like,
Parents dying means one thing.
my mum told us something like after my dad passed away, and I was like, holy shit, that fucking explains a lot.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'll tell you off air. But,
It's all those moments, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, just makes you realize that you want to, well, made me realize I want to live my life. I'm so glad that I've second guessed, obviously, but I'm full speed ahead a lot of the time. I'm a bull at a gate. I'm the bull in a china shop. I'm like, my company's called Raging Bull. I was going to call it Raging Bull Zen. And I'm like, why even bother? Why even bother? Try to soften it. Yeah, Raging Bull.
What do you specialize in?
So Raging Bull Enterprises. So I'd like to do some production, obviously events, management.
Do you need a photographer? Because
Obviously,
I'm
yes.
full-time photographer now.
Yes, full time.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wasn't full-time before, but I'm full-time now.
What were you doing before?
I had a corporate job.
Oh my God! So you were moonlighting,
Oh, well,
basically.
Kind of. No, I had two
9 to 5.
two full-time jobs.
Yeah, but you were 9 to 5
yeah,
corporate.
Yeah.
How crazy is that, right? And because I took the last few months off, like literally, from going from God knows how many hours we did at S XPO, but then I was escorting, and granted, sure it's fun work, but still I was up till midnight some nights and having to go to work and blah blah blah. Like when you actually stop doing so much, how nice is it to just go, whew?
Yeah. You end up I found that you end up spending a lot of time like reflecting and rejuvenating, but then when you do like focus your energy, like even more magic happens.
Yeah, from
like,
resting.
Yeah, from resting.
Exactly.
So the first shoot of the year I did with Jordan Oakley. We did a horse shoot down in Fingal.
Oh,
fucking hell.
I love.
It was so good. I'm like,
when did you do that? Like
last Friday.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. And
Can't wait to see that then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think creating like that is like, I love photography. I've always loved photography and movies. There's still what I was going to say before was, you know, for a while I've been the producer and I've gone between production and star a lot. I remember being in a bunch of movies at one point in LA and going, ugh, I just want to work in production. You know, and a couple of years of production, I'm like, God, I just want to be a talent. I just want to get my makeup done and remember lines. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I'm back to being talent again for a little bit. And I say that so roughly because, you know, my organizer mind is still doing other things while doing sex ed and doing the resort takeovers and a bunch of other things. But yeah, there's still, like when I ask myself, what do I want to do? I still want to act. I want to be in production. You know, I want to be in production in many ways, talent and producer. And
I think it's so important though. Like when you get to a point where you can be on both sides of the camera, you have a full appreciation of the entire piece.
Exactly. Yeah,
know,
totally.
It's why with my photography, I put a lot of myself online.
Yeah.
You know, to show people that I'm not like, this is who you're going to be working with. This is the personality. Like I am who I say I am.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And a lot of people resonate with that. Like
Yeah.
I was messaging someone last night there in Sydney and they're like, oh, I just love all these interviews that you do. Like they're just so good. you know, because you really get to like learn about the people, the women that you take photos of.
Yeah, exactly.
And realize that they're just normal people.
Exactly.
you
Well, that's
know?
why they're doing so well, is that
Yeah.
it's breaking the veil, I think, so to
Yeah.
speak, of the entertainment.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, well, what do you think, we're going to act like this in the movies? No, they didn't cast Belinda Gavin or to be Kylie Coyote. You know,
Yeah.
they gave me another name when I get to set, and that's someone else I have to be.
Yeah. That's
in
right.
my OnlyFans, yeah, you see a lot more of me. But when I shoot, oh God, I'm such a nightmare. I'm like, firstly, I hate editing, so I do everything 1 minute, 2 minute, you know what I mean? So I'm like, and I know where the cameras are, I know where the lighting is. The poor people that have to shoot with me, I'm like, someone else organize a shoot so I can just turn up. But I'm still like, wait, no, that's not right. Let me see that one. Yeah.
I think it is one of the disadvantages of today's world where you have all the control, yet you can either be OCD and like really go overboard with trying to control everything and just like let things flow.
Yeah.
You know, I'll have conversations with my photographer mates about wanting to that they're wanting to curate their portfolio a certain way and all this. And I'm just like, I just don't care. Let's just get it out. You know,
exactly.
You know how
I'm a bit like that too. Let's just get it out there. People are like, no, it's going to be perfect. And I think that was how you're supposed to do it.
and
but
the 3 thing on Instagram, like I'm not going to limit myself based on the fact that there's a 3 grid. I'm like, I should share stuff
yeah,
because I want to share it. Like,
sometimes I can get a little creative, but on my personals, I guess, you know, if I'm working with somebody, I'm like, let's schedule it out and whatever.
yeah.
And I need to apply that more to myself this year. But I'm a little bit the same way. I'm like, yeah, just get it out there.
I just don't care.
Yeah, well, there's so much content in my phone that has not seen the light of day that I'm like, I really have to file it. You know, I've hung out with Renee Gracie a lot, and she taught me a lot of lessons about filing. I'm like, girl, man, how do you? She's like, yep. She's like a machine with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is crazy. Yeah, good for you, girl. Like, doing so well. So many girls in the industry that we've obviously had contact with through Sexpo or even just in my private life are doing amazing things. And, you know, most of them have, like you know, a corporate job somewhere, or have not, or have moved on from that job, or, you know, are ready to go back into some different area. But it's been so great to meet so many beautiful. It's so funny to just say women. Of course, I've met guys as well, but especially in the industry that am in contact with a lot of women, and it's kind of turned around because when I was a girl, you know, girls didn't like me. I mean, I hung out with a great group of girlfriends.
That's because you were a tomboy.
Yeah, because I was a guy's guy, but I had to work for women to like me, and I learned how to work. I don't know if I do it now, but I have so many amazing women in my life that I just am so grateful and love all of them because they're so confident and, you know, sure of themselves, especially girls that are, you know, stars in our industry, but still are people and still have, you know, their quirky little things. A friend of mine who was worried about something the other day, I'm like, wow, yeah, that's scary, I guess, but I didn't think about it until I had to actually think about it. You know, it was, I was like, yeah, wow, you're vulnerable. Still a girl inside, you know what I mean? I was like, how cute. Because we all, you know, have our fears and, you know, 2025, it's a new year. What's it going to bring?
How do you actually, before I ask that question, I'm just going to say the reason why you have all of these people around you that are beautiful and confident and, you know, do what they do is because you attract them because of what you do. So,
Thank you.
And I can see that.
Thank you.
You know, like what you created with Sexpo, what you create with the people that you interact with and how you conduct yourself, I think it just shows that's what comes through.
How do I overcome the fear? That was a good
how do you overcome the fear?
because I
For anyone
have
else
had
listening.
anxiety and more anxiety my whole life. Simple way is the 4-count breathing. Out 4, in 4, out 4. But also I think it's redefining it and unpacking it and repacking it, because sometimes anxiety is excitement and we forget that.
I had this exact same conversation with my mate yesterday,
Yeah.
Tion, and we were like,
Yeah,
when you're anxious, it's the same feeling as excitement.
exactly.
So you just need to reframe it.
Exactly. Reframe it. And, I'm pretty positive. People like, oh, you're so lucky you wake up so positive. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah, you have to work at it.
So I don't always wake up happy, happy, joy, joy, but I put my gym gear on and I go do something. And then guess what? I feel better.
Oh, I had the biggest fucking headache yesterday, and I was like, I just need to go to the gym. As soon as I was out of the gym, I just felt better.
Exactly. So, I've been training most of my life, and I did sports at school. So if I don't, my head's not right. But it's not always, I don't always want to do it. But in my whole lifetime of training, going to gyms, working out, whatever it is, I was a personal trainer. So my biggest mantra was like, just get your gear on, leave it there beside your bed, before. Sometimes I've slept in my gym gear, just a quiet little secret there. But there's only a handful of times, like.
With your shoes on?
No shoes. But if I was really getting, not a lot of sleep, maybe shoes on. But there's only been a handful of times that I've actually gone to the gym, maybe done 5-10 minutes and gone, nah, I can't do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You always do minimum half an hour, and that's better than nothing. In the big scheme of things, you just got to consistently do something every day.
I just fucking hate cardio.
I like walking, so that's my cardio.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, it's my meditation, you know what I mean? And when I was 25, really weight training, I had a boyfriend at the time that refused to do more than 20 minutes. Because he reckoned that if he did more than 20 minutes, that his body would get used to that and wouldn't burn as much. I was a 40-minute girl, so I was like, well, I got to do 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So
where's the logic in that?
I didn't get it. I'm biologically, I like biology, so I was like, I couldn't work it out. But I'm like, if that's your thing, that's your thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, when I was a trainer, I trained, one of my very first clients said, he could only do Tuesday and Thursday. I was like, what? I don't know what I can do with you on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
CrossFit.
Well,
We're going to smash your body into pieces.
funnily enough, we called it cross training in those days. So I did as much, upper body, lower body, and cardio. He needed a lot of things. He was an editor, movie editor, had a lump in his back. Long story short, he ended up being one of my best clients.
Oh, wow.
We straightened his back out, and then I cut 10 years, I think I trained with him.
Wow.
And no more back thing, and now doing yoga. I was like, job done.
He's now coming to the resort takeover parties.
That would be funny. I should invite him. Yeah. But I think that for us to get to 150 people and beyond, it's international. My dream is for it to be all adults.
It is international.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
sure.
for us to have, maybe a swingers area, gay area, LGBTQIT area, singles area, I don't know how it looks because I'm not sure how everyone interacts together.
Yeah, how do you like
Well, yeah, you have to
mingle
have
and
different
all of that?
with that many people, you could have 50-50-50. You know what I mean? Doing their own, some together, some
It's almost
apart.
it's almost like running one event, but like with 3 small events.
Yeah,
within
exactly.
that.
With 3 genres included in it.
And then having oh shit, my brain's gone into overdrive now.
Yeah.
And then having some sort of, because it's almost a little bit like like The Bachelor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like The Bachelor, like you have a group of women or like a group of guys and this one person, and this one person does like these things, right? And then you have like these dates where they get to take people out. I mean, you could adapt that kind of concept in that if you have these 3 groups, maybe at some point people in the three groups want to interact with the other groups.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Well,
know.
there'd have to be that. I think there'd have to be. Obviously, I've gone over it again and again in my head. But yeah, I see it's 7 days. There's smaller events that you have in your own areas, and then there's large events where we all come together, whether it's like a dance party, volleyball, a game, pool games day where everyone's together. I'm still just kind of talking with each community and seeing how that blends. I think that these days it's obviously more available than ever. So I hope, but if not, maybe we focus on a group at a time, then 150 of this type of group, 150 of this type of group, 150 of this type of group. Because, and you can't please all the people all the time, but once again, if you have events over and over again and people understand what it's about, and then like-minded people from all over the world can come. In saying that, when I was talking about all over the world and including different races and cultures and things like that, some people were like, well, how is that going to work? And I was like, wow, well, already like cultural racism and all kind, you know what I mean? Like all kinds of stuff. I was like, never really thought of that. Language barriers, things like that. But so obviously you'd have to say everyone's English speaking, or
you have name tags.
You have necklaces actually with your name on it. Yeah. Everyone gets a necklace with their name on it, so you remember people's names.
Yeah. Yeah, like the language barrier thing, I guess that's a challenge too.
It is. I'm like, why can't we all just get along? And I think that to some degree we can, but there must be a way to get around it. There's a
Fuck.
It stopped again.
All good.
All good. We're back.
We're back.
There's a cruise, an adult. Well, it's lifestyle cruise. So once again, it's swingers.
I've heard about that.
Bliss.
Yeah.
Supposedly 6,500 people. So that's 3,025 couples. When I saw photos of this place, Andrew, you know how usually they have a big nightclub? There was just beds everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. So
on a cruise.
Yeah, on a cruise.
Bro.
Right? That's a big cruise to 6,500 people.
Yeah.
And they're packed. I'd like to do one, but once again, like the beds in the nightclub, I'm like, I'd just be watching. I'd be, oh, that's fun to watch. But I'm more so like, oh, let's maybe get a coffee later and go back to your room, I've been a bit of a voyeur. I've been a bit out there. Like, don't get me wrong. If I'm in the right environment, sure. I'm like, oh, let's go for it. I'm not really a big gangbanging thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll change. But I know that a lot of people are into that. I like the look of the thing, but I don't like some people touching me. I don't know.
Yeah. I think what you need to do is you probably need to tap into the cruise ship like patronage if you want to get bigger. Like you want more people.
Well, to be honest,
but in actual
Club
fact,
Med.
In actual fact, Club Med.
Yeah, so Club Med I've spoken to. They're really interested, but they're 500 rooms.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a big commitment, so, but that would, that.
I mean, the whole cruise ship thing just proves that there are people out there.
Exactly. Oh, in the States.
That want to do it.
There's hedonism, there's desire, there's like all kinds of resorts already, to go to. They're on the other side of the world for us, so to speak. And to go on the Bliss cruise, you have to fly to Fort Lauderdale. So there's some downfalls with that, you know what I mean? So what Lifestyle Getaways offers is probably an economic close to home because it's been in Bali. Not everyone can take, it's only 7 days.
Yeah.
I would suggest taking a few more days each side. But, it's viable for people here in Australia, and we do have some overseas people that have come, you know what I mean, and that's exciting, but it's easy for Australians to go to Thailand and Bali, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And South Pacific areas.
And then it's easy for Europeans to come there as well.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Bali has that many like Europeans there.
Well, the guy who owns the resort is French.
Yeah.
And to be honest, in Thailand, in that area, we were there at the beginning of the season. Their season had only just started. So that's the European Christmas time, I guess, where they're all going to this Thailand here, the naturalist place and the one next door.
They all want to escape the cold.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I can see why.
Yeah.
I can absolutely see why. So that is a market, and I love Europe. I haven't been to London yet.
It's too cold.
It's
gloomy.
It was. My friends were backpacking.
You know how gloomy it is here?
Yeah.
Like it's like that, but for 9 months of the year.
Yeah, yeah. It's never. I mean, I'd like to go there. You know what I mean? And I say that loosely. I don't have to do anything except see Big Ben and take a photo. But Europe, I have like a lot.
You're talking about the clock.
Yeah,
right?
the clock. Oh, you.
Not some other Big Ben.
Content creator, Big Ben. I wish. I will be shooting more content. I promise my fans. I will.
Just calm down. Just calm down.
I keep saying it for years. I promise I'll bring more content. I'm like, this year. It's all about me.
Yeah, this year's all about you.
Yay.
It sounds so exciting though.
Yeah. Well, and I'm only halfway through the year. But so
what's going on in the second half of the year?
Well, we do have in November Thailand resort takeovers. We have one date, 7 days though, that I think Simone and Darren are yet to decide where they're actually going to go with that. So that's literally, I got back in Melbourne yesterday, back to work, so to speak, came right here to you. So there's a lot to do in the upcoming weeks. I find that January, everyone's a bit like, oh, let's do something. Oh, so-and-so's on holidays or so-and-so's not back. So after Australia Day. Slow start.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
After Australia Day.
Yeah, after
that's
Australia
when people
Day.
are like, right.
Okay, now what's going on? So, but I always like to do all the pre-stuff, like talk to everybody, and then smack bang, February comes and off we go into things.
Yeah.
I've already got it's my dad's 80th. That's the first thing in February. So I'll go back to the Goddess. He's actually a Pisces.
Oh, Pisces. So
end
of Feb.
6 days. Yes, 26th of Feb. My mom's a 26th of Jan. Oh. She's Aquarius. She's no longer with us.
Yeah.
Australia Day, usually I would go to the Gold Coast and to the Candy Shop Mansion, which is where I went for New Year's Eve. That was fun. Quiet party just with family. But Harper Valentine is having a party in Sydney, so I'm tempted to celebrate a different way with Australia Day. And so I'm thinking about doing that for Australia Day.
Yeah, nice.
Then March, my cousin's getting married in Sydney around the 22nd. So I'll be there. April, May is already organized with Bali. So, and then the resort takeovers in November. There's some in April as well. April and end of April and May as well. I'm not sure if I can go. I'd love to go. I just have to get back to work. And then, the end of the year, June, July, August, I kind of just want to tour. I love country Victoria. I love, to be honest, I did Northern Queensland in July last year. It was phenomenal.
As in far north Queensland?
Rockhampton, Mackay, Townsville, Cairns, Port Douglas. I didn't do much there. And then we just had a fun. I've got
Port
friends
Douglas.
up there. Port Douglas and Wonga Beach, which is a little further up. It was sensational. I don't know if I was gone a week, 10 days, whatever. But when I got back to Melbourne, it was like I missed winter. I was like, Is that it? Is it over? Did I miss it? So it was a perfect time to go, to not be like, oh, it's so cold. Not that I'm that person, but
I think last year though we did.
it was mild.
Yeah, it was mild and it wasn't as wet.
Because I would
It
walk
was
to
very
work
dry.
every day. So rain, hail, or shine. And then, when I got back, I was like, it's not cold at all. What? Yeah. Hopefully I can do the same this year. Now, I don't mind the weather here in Melbourne actually at all. It makes you be prepared.
I enjoy it.
I enjoy it too. I mean, I like
didn't
it cold.
like the heat wave we just had.
Well, I was on
That
the
was
Gold Coast,
fucking
and I'm like,
disgusting.
I didn't even wear my sneakers. I'm seriously in a bikini the whole time I'm up there. I said to people, you must get sick of seeing me in a bikini because it's all I ever wear. If any clothes at the mansion, I didn't have to wear anything. So, happy to be as least amount of clothing when it's that hot. I'm kind of bummed that I missed those days, but I think it's coming up to a few more hot days.
Yeah.
I have a sensational rooftop swimming pool. So come on over.
Party?
Yeah.
Do you need a photographer to take some photos?
Yeah, well, Delilah hopefully will come join me. Jordan will come join me.
Yeah.
We'll be it's Delilah's birthday. Happy birthday, Delilah.
Happy birthday, Delilah.
That's where we met originally. Well,
yeah.
Face to face.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
She invited me to next year's birthday celebrations, which will be in the Gold Coast.
She's already decided.
She has already decided, and she's like, "You're coming, Andrew."
Perfect.
And I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "It's going to be a big one."
Oh, good. Here I was going to go New Year's Eve down here this year. I mean, down here in Melbourne, because I haven't done a New Year's Eve down here at all. And I have this rooftop where you can see all the fireworks. Yeah, it's exciting.
Shit, that is exciting.
Well, and I'd love to shoot photos. You know, I have just become talent again. So we'll just get myself all back together and definitely shoot and some content. I mean, I have to get out and, find out who might want to shoot with me. I've got a few people maybe that are lining up. I'm always just like, I'm like,
because you're so busy.
Can someone come and produce it for me? Yeah, and like, can I just turn up? Because when I'm just bossy, and I shouldn't be. No one else gets a word in, or I'll try to let them do something, and then I'll be like, "We're doing it this way. We'll just do it this way. Let's just do it this way." Someone come. What do you have in ideas? I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's do this. Don't you have any ideas? Well, we could do this and we could do that. I'm like, nah, that's not gonna work. It was funny, actually. Up north, I had a booking with someone, and they got to film. They told me they were OnlyFans. I was impressed. I was impressed with his footage.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's good.
Was it because of the angles?
I think maybe, it was POV, and it was the angles, and also it wasn't like, I've done some filming with people, and when they're not professional, or they don't know what they're doing, it gets in the way of things. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, on camera when I'm trying to provide a service to you, and so it's like, okay, do you want to put the camera down and we'll have some real fun, and you can hang out with me and not me hang out with your camera. So I find that difficult to
navigate
sometimes. I mean, I don't have any problem with the camera, but I can see that someone's struggling to what happened to your heart on kind of thing. Because you're too busy worrying about other things.
Yeah.
So to speak.
It's
For a lay person, let's say.
For a lay person.
For someone who's used to it by now, or you know what I mean? So I find that usually I'm like, let's just do a booking first, and then if you want to shoot, do it next time. Or
I mean, get your priorities straight.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, did you book me or did you book me to shoot?
Well, that's extra, of course. But but I remember one client actually in Brisbane. who brought like 4 cameras. I was all of
Holy
a sudden,
shit.
yeah, I know. I was
That's
like,
some fucking
firstly, I'm like, what are you gonna do with this?
slicing and dicing of
Yeah.
the scenery.
I mean, at this point, what's the worst possible thing? It'll end up on the internet. God forbid. You know what I mean?
4 cameras seems like overkill though.
Well, I mean, it was only
Unless
his phones.
Oh, 4 phones.
Yeah, phones in little things. I'm like, wow, he's getting every angle here.
Okay.
I felt like I was back in the studios. I was like, he got my best performance.
How's the sound effects?
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure if they ever really used my real sounds. I think probably sometimes, but it was always overdubbed.
There's always tricks to the trade.
Yeah, yeah. Well, back when I was shooting, it was still video at some points. And yeah, I was like a one-shot wonder. So that's why I got a lot of work, is because I didn't ever waste any tape and be like, off we go, wrap it up,
So
orgasm.
So you're modeling. How long were you modeling for?
I was a model, I guess, since grade 10. I mean, maybe younger. I did work experience at a modeling agency only
There you
because
go.
I wanted to be a vet, and the vet that I had organized my grade 10 work experience with fell through last minute. The only reason I went to the modeling agency is because my mom sent me to a deportment course, and they knew me at that point, and they were like saying like how beautiful I was. I mean,
Because you were such a tomboy.
yeah,
Your
that's
mom's
why she
like,
sent
you
me.
need to go to a deportment
I
course.
rode horses. I was like, yeah. So exactly why she sent me there. And then,
Obviously did you some good.
yeah.
Taught you the way.
Well, then obviously I had become really good friends with them, and I did photos and whatever. I did pageants and things like that.
Yeah.
So I was modeling. I'm in grade 10, 11, 12. I was probably still not doing a lot. When I came out of grade 12, I was accepted into DDIAE, which was in Toowoomba, for PE teaching.
Oh.
So then I was like working in a nightclub because I had to save money to go to uni, and was getting home at 6 o'clock in the morning, and my mom called me lazy. And
6
I
o'clock
was
in the
like,
morning?
6 o'clock in the morning. Actually, I had another job at the school sometimes.
Was your mum a drill sergeant?
She was, I don't know what she was doing.
Jesus Christ.
Because I was sleeping. And
You're lazy because you're sleeping.
yeah, I wasn't getting home
now.
till 6.
Now I know where this whole thing
Drive
of you
comes
just
from,
have to like have so many things going on.
Right. Well, so I was also working at the school though. So some mornings I'd come home, I'd literally have a shower, go to the school until 3 p.m. I'd sleep from 3 p.m. till 9 p.m. Then I'd go to work. So maybe it was after that, before, like I was trying to have a break. The school work finished, and I was doing the nightclub work still, and I was sleeping, after coming home at 6 o'clock.
Jesus, Mum.
But there was some competition. I think the agency must have said, oh, you should enter this competition. It was a whole bunch of pageants all in one pageant. And I had short hair at the time, like short red and black. And yeah. Anyway, they were like, yeah, you should go in the pageant. And I was like, okay, just to prove my mom wrong, I was like, all right, sure, I'll go in the pageant. Well, I won Miss Asia Pacific. So of that year, of the Australian, to represent Australia, because I was shorter. But the girls in my...
Hang on. You won because you were shorter?
Yeah.
Is that because you were...
Because all the other girls were much taller.
The target market in
Yeah.
Asia is shorter.
Yeah. I guess that was the only one. Well, because it was Miss Australia, there was Miss World, there was Miss, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I went in it to spite my mom. I was like, no, I'm not going to get picked for Miss World, this.
Yeah, I'm going to show you I'm not lazy.
Yeah. So that helped, I guess, my modeling career. In that time, I still was doing uni, but then I started modeling more in Brisbane.
Yeah.
I moved to Brisbane after 1 year in Toowoomba. Moved to Brisbane, did a lot more work there. Was making, $150 an hour as a shoe model, as a bikini model, as a did billboards and commercial and stuff like that. But my booker went to Sydney with Chadwick's, and she said Tonya Bird had just gone to the States, so she said you should come down there. So then I went. I left uni, went modeling, and then
So you're at Chadwick's.
so I was with Chadwick's. That was great. It was a lot of work. I did some great work. I was a Q size model, which was some of the best paid work. I did a bunch of commercials and things like that again, and started auditioning for things like Neighbours. I was like, oh, this is cool, but who wants to be on Neighbours? I mean, now I'm like, sure, me. But back then.
I've been on Neighbours.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It's
cool.
an extra.
Very cute.
They had me at the watering hole drinking a beer, and I'm like,
Great.
I don't drink. And of all the scenes to put me in, they put me in that one.
Right. Your friends are like, you were drinking.
Yeah.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ended up, in the States. To be honest, I was acting in the States. I went to act, but the easiest visa to get was a modeling visa.
Modeling, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was still modeling over there. Take whatever work I can get.
Is that where
had
you got
3
the
visas.
accent? When did the accent come in?
So I studied at Lee Strasberg, which is a big acting school there, and they encouraged you to lose your accent. I did accent class for 2 weeks and was done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean,
And then it just stuck.
it just stuck. I mean, if I wanted to, I could talk Aussie if you really wanted me to. Sometimes it takes a minute to drop into.
That was so good.
I used to, when I was in the States, call my mom, go, talk to me. I've got to be Australian. I don't know what to say. Australians are good at accents. And this accent now is just quite convoluted. Sometimes Australian, sometimes
Yeah,
American.
it's a little bit all over the place, but
Yeah.
definitely there's
When I have to
more of
speak
a
and
American,
accentuate, it's very American because that's how they speak.
not here in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. Australia's like, oh, right, mate. Shazza. But yeah, it was funny. I ran into some guys in the country recently. They were quite amused by me, and one was quite offended that I was Australian and talking in an American accent. I was like, well, what do you want me to do? Talk Australian to you guys? Would that be okay? He was like, what? I go, yeah, I'm Australian, mate. Like, I don't know, what kind of accent do you want? Do you want maybe Brighton? Do you want Brighton ladies' accent? I'm not really sure. No.
Wow.
I mean, as an actor, you have to do every accent. So
Yeah.
you have to have an ear. I mean, it's much easier when you listen, mimic. But if I hang out with people with an accent, I'll sponge off them. Yeah,
Because I had an American accent, but that was from living in Singapore.
exactly, because they speak American English.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people are like, no, they don't. They speak Singlish. I'm like, yeah, okay, they speak Singlish, but still, like,
Caucasians speak American because that's the accent that they
yeah. Yeah. And then when we moved to Perth in 93, 94, people were like, who is this guy? He's like 6 foot, Asian looking American accent, calls himself Australian.
Yeah.
And then I lost it. The accent. Yeah.
Right. Well, this is 7 years ago. I could walk out of the airport and pretty much be seamless American again. There'll be some words now that I'll say, vowel sounds obviously, but even in the States, my best friends did not know I was Australian and for months sometimes. People didn't know.
Moonlighting.
Yeah, totally moonlighting.
Moonlighting is an American.
Yeah. It was, when you're bartending and there's 5 deep, you don't want someone to go, oh, where you from? Give me your fucking tip and fuck off. How about that? I'm not from anywhere. I don't know what you're talking about. Next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just give me the tip and fuck off.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Next. Yeah. I had to learn to lip read Spanish when I worked at the
Oh.
Mayan, that club downtown.
Yeah.
It was Hispanic Friday and Saturday. Friday, Saturday nights, Hispanic. Like young people Friday nights and whole 12-piece band on Saturday nights. And I kind of always worked at the
And because the
dance
music's so loud,
Yeah.
you got to like learn how
Yeah.
to lip read.
Dos cervezas, mucho tequila. Yeah, I can only speak minimal Spanish. Frio.
I can't speak any Spanish.
Any other language?
Indonesian.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah, sedikit saja.
Don't know.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I can understand more than I can speak.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah. How can people find you if they want to get on board with these resort takeovers?
So they can find me Lifestyle Getaways on Instagram. In my Belinda Gavin, Belinda_Gavin on Insta, there's a lot of information on there. And I'll be working with the Lifestyle Getaways this year. Kylie Wyote also has her own Instagram, Kylie Wyote 2025.
2025.
Just updated it.
That's the year.
Yeah. For Kylie.
It's a 9-year this year.
Yes.
Which means that everything's happening.
Everything's happening, which is exciting for me. Yeah.
Mm.
It's been, it's been a lot of brewing. When I came back to the States in 2009, I moved back to move away from the industry. I just finished American Gladiators and, being in the industry, it was, I don't know, I felt it was impeding my mainstream
Focus.
acceptancy.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it. Other people have a problem with it. So I thought I'll move back and, separate myself because I'd gone from XXX to G with Gladiators. And funnily enough, that just turned around and we put pedal to the metal on the adult industry.
Boomerang.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to go back and, see the opportunities in the States. My brother has a consulting company over there called Boomerang, actually.
Hey, shh.
Yeah, that.
What are the fucking chances I just said that?
Yeah, I know. He's over there and has a fiance, so he's locked in basically. So yeah, whether it's helping him, market, social media, something like that. My best friend who's a stylist and my other best friend who's a photographer, they're over there. So whether it's just shooting some content, whether it's a couple of weeks stay or whether visiting will inspire me to come back, I'm not sure. When I was there, America was grandeur. I think that there's a lot of changes going on in that country. And I'm not sure if I want to be there full time. So it's a great place to kind of be.
Part-time.
Yeah. Always transcontinental. But Europe, I've got a friend of mine who's moving to Italy from actually Colorado. And, I'm like, that looks nice. You know what I mean?
Well, you said at the very start of the podcast, like having a gypsy lifestyle is best suited to you. And so, like all these different locations, I think where you want to be and things that you want to do, it just kind of fits in with that, right?
Yeah, it is. I still have a lot of Asia. I stopped in Bangkok on the way home instead of Singapore, but I want to go to Singapore. Bangkok, I quite loved the city. I have an ex-husband who lives there, Luke, who we're still really great friends and close. He actually wasn't there at the time, but via the internet and FaceTime, we got to spend time with each other most of the time at the places he told me to go to. And I met his friends, and he's like security at a club, and he like worked at a gym.
That's cool.
So I was like hooked up everywhere. So it was 3 days of absolute mayhem, but that was a lot of fun. I'd like to go to Singapore and Hong Kong. I love big cities. So, there's these big cities on this side of the world that I haven't experienced yet. Maybe there's things there that are to evolve for me. I don't know, but I just love LA. Like, I love LA. I like New York City. I don't think I'd live there. I mean, I've traveled all over the States, but LA was good times, man. I mean, it was like unbelievable times. I'm not expecting it to ever be like that it was, but just the people, I've been gone for, I guess, almost a little under, 7 years. No, longer than that. Since 2009. So like it'll almost be 20 years, you know what I mean? So the friends that I had in specific places as well have evolved bigger and better as well, you know what I mean? So all of that is exciting to see if there's any opportunities there as well. In America there's just so much more opportunity because there's so many more people.
So many more people.
So many more
and to
people.
be able to scale something, quickly, I think you like, because there's so many more people, it's just easier.
It's so much easier. I mean, easier meaning there's more commercialability to anything. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people, someone's going to like it. You know what I mean? Or especially in LA, there's so many talented, creative, amazing people. I think that's why I loved Melbourne so much, is because on the Gold Coast, it's like, it's different now. I think it's evolving. But, well, how's your kids? I'm like, I'm not having kids. You know what I mean? Where are the creative people?
It's limited, I think, in Queensland.
It's
because
growing.
Because there's less people.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as ethnic. And, people like that. So that's good for them. I like it more ethnic. I like it, where people... I love going to places where everybody knows my name, but I also love going to places where nobody knows my name yet. Once I leave that town, they will remember me. But they don't know my name yet.
When I had my long hair, I couldn't go to any shopping centre here in Melbourne without people recognising me.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't fucking go to Chadstone with...
That is funny.
I remember going to Chadstone like over a Christmas period, and every single time I went, someone would like tap me as I'm on an escalator.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Hi.
I'm like, bro, what is going on? Yeah, that just turned off. Let's see if I can get this started.
It keeps turning itself back on and off.
Yeah, so I totally get that. And that's actually the reason why, or one of the reasons why I left Perth. Like
Because you're recognised.
I was in Perth for 9 years. And
I can't walk down Broadbeach without running into 10 people, probably.
Yeah, in Perth, I couldn't go anywhere without people knowing me. And I was like, there's no anonymity at all.
Right. Well, when you're in Vegas and people are like, do I know you? I'd travel with a blonde girlfriend of mine that we did movies with.
Yeah.
We'd be like, yeah, you probably were watching us on late night TV last night. They'd be like, oh, really? Oh, yeah. I mean, Cinemax was a big channel. We were all over Cinemax.
Yeah.
But yeah, two things. You made it when you've been on TMZ, which I was on TMZ for a Gladiators. And I remember waking up, my friend's like, you've made it. You're on TMZ. I was like, that's hilarious. Because I was like the porn star bull rider.
Oh.
Yeah. They knew all that. You know what I mean? That was their setup. And they put me against a soccer mom. Like,
right.
Needless to say, yeah. And what was the other one? When you're recognized in Vegas, yeah. When someone recognizes you in Vegas, I'm like, the only reason is because there's only late night TV to watch. Really, but you know what I mean? That was all that was on late night back in those days, really.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, now I'll say to people, oh, I guess you don't know who I am. And they're like, who? I'm like, well, Google me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if I come across being arrogant. You're not going to know me unless you Google me. And then you're not going to try to find me if you don't even know my name. So
Yeah.
it's how many lives I can touch, remember? So how many they're like, oh, whoa. I'm like, yeah. What did you do last year?
I just ran S XPO across the whole of Australia and educated people on sex ed.
But it's funny how, I got rejected from the States. If I had have gone on with that plan, none of this would have happened in the past 4.5 years. So looking back in hindsight, sometimes the universe has to interject and put you on your path. Whether,
100%.
Yeah. I mean, if you had asked me the day after I got sent back that year, I was probably still crying. I think I cried for a week.
Yeah. The day after, if someone came to you and said, "Don't worry, Belinda, this is just the universe telling you,"
I would have smacked him in the
you're
nose.
about to do something else. You would have been like, "Fuck off!"
Yeah, and to be honest, I worked somewhere for a little while, and I've always given my best. But luckily, like really soon after that, Travis from the Candy Shop Mansion called me and was like, "Hey, I got something for you." And I'd already been racing V8 previous to that, so. Yeah, that's what it started out with Travis. But we had a great 3.5 years, I think. Yeah, where I actually was getting crying at the New Year's Eve party this year, and I was like, "We did it, Trav, we did it!" Because when we lived in Miami, that's when we first met. We were like, "We're gonna have the best parties in Australia," and we would run into each other all over the world, and we're gonna have parties. Then when I came back in 2009, I was like, we saw each other riding his bike. He rides his bike every day. And I'm like, "Can you please have a party? It's killing me here. It's so boring." So yeah, that was the first Candy Shop Mansion party he had. And it went from there. It went from, I don't know, maybe 150 people in 2009 to 2018, 9 years later. 1,200 people, 300 staff, a $1.5 million budget, a stage that was like 60 meters wide by 20 meters high. Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah, for 12 hours. Yeah.
Wild.
That's why Kevin hired me for Sexpo, because Sexpo is basically Candy Shop Mansion on steroids over a 3-day period.
Yeah.
And a lot more help. Not to say that Travis's team wasn't, helpful, but they were from the office. They did a great job, but they weren't event managers,
Yeah. You need people like on the ground, like who are, agile enough to kind of like get stuff done.
Sexpo, we had an amazing team, always had. From Adam and I to our sales to marketing. It was a small team with the Australian Exhibition Group, but we were tight. And because we were doing tattoo as well, it was rinse and repeat sometimes just with certain things.
Yeah.
Sexpo was just, it's so much more chaotic. So the first team, when I arrived before COVID, the Sexpo just shook them to their bones, I'm pretty sure. Like, what the hell is this? Me, I was like, "Oh yeah, do. I was like, "Don't worry about that. We'll do that later." I relished in the
thrived.
yeah. In a chaos, it's like I sometimes just like, believe me, the first show back, I think the Brisbane one you went to, 2021, we had one somewhere. 2022 though, 2021 we had one somewhere. And they were smaller, I think, but still, the first one back, when I was like event managing the whole thing, it was nerve-wracking, because it was like, how are we gonna do all this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. At the end, it's like, oh, okay, this is how we do it.
I think it's interesting though, because like if you haven't done something versus you have done something, you have this confidence in, nothing's going to stop you. Like you're going to overcome every problem that's going to present itself, and then you just like push through.
Yeah, once you've done it once.
Yeah.
It's that first time overcoming fears, you know what I mean? It is like, how do you, even still, cut to this last year, I live and dream and breathe Sex XPO. That's why it just overcomes me, meaning that you think about it while you're sleeping, you dream about it, you wake up, you're thinking about it. I'm like a helicopter, like making sure the things are ticked. You know, you get as it gets closer to show. You know, what I mean, you're like, did you do this? Do? Have we done that? Have we done that? You know, I mean, as I tick through the boxes, I remember one big thing. Oh my god, he's probably gonna kill me. But we got to Perth this year because we traveled with, I think it got down to 4 stripper poles, but I think we had 6. And we had all the poles, but if you know the stripper pole, we had all the poles, but you need a base for the poles to go on.
Yeah.
We didn't have any of the bases. So these are for our main stage show, right? And the strip rooms.
Kind of crucial.
Like, and actually I just started laughing with Adam because he's like, oh my, stop it. So immediately, Delilah is the first one, you know, and some other girls that we were working with, I think Cherry, some other people that we were working with, I was like, have you got a pole? Have you got a pole? And, you know, so it was like, okay, we got there. We definitely got there, but it was, you know, it added a little bit of,
Yeah.
The other situation that happened was the Brisbane Babylon. The costumes weren't delivered.
Oh.
The costumes were late. They needed to do a dress rehearsal, you know, so, but the costumes were really late. like, yeah, it's like painstakingly, you know, it's that moment where you're just like, oh my God, okay, so what's option? But it's problem solving. And
yeah, it's problem solving.
I think, you don't panic until you don't panic. What are you going to do? You have to find a solution.
Yeah.
That's it.
Don't panic on the disco.
Yeah, you just there's a solution. We just have to find it. Like there's been many, many things that we have to, you know, I mean, as I'm thinking too, during COVID, you know, there were times where, are we going to have a show? Should we go? Are we sending? What's going to, is someone, Adam's already there. If they gets locked up there, he's going to be up there and he has to go to another show. So, you know what I mean? It's like, do I go? No, I'll stay here. So, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's the logistics of all of it that were just like, that really kept you on the toes, that COVID. You know what I mean? Because then one person would get it. And then
it was game over.
Yeah, then they can't be, they have to be quarantined, or you know what I mean, whatever the rules were back then. Funnily enough, I just got COVID, not like before Christmas, for the first time ever.
Ever?
I didn't even know I had it.
Wow.
I would never have tested.
Well, that's good.
Never had tested, but
did you lose your taste?
No.
No.
I mean, I have allergies. I get a little scratchy throat and then end up with a cough. I also smoke a bunch of green stuff, so sometimes I can have a cough. So it didn't. I took the allergy medication that stops the drip. I took the bronchial stuff to break it up, and I had a headache. The only difference was the headache. That's right. And I only tested because I'd just come off the cruise, and somebody that I'd made out with was like, "I've got COVID." I was like, "There's no way I have COVID." Anyway, for 2 days, I'm testing. I was alone. I'm testing thinking, this is not right. It was the faint line. I'm like, this cannot be right. I bought a new test. I was like, okay, it's now the 2nd or 3rd day. I guess I have COVID. And I was traveling to see my dad, but I was like, what? I'm like, I can't stop my life. Like, so I had to go out and grocery shopping. I'm like, what is the protocol here? I kept asking everyone, what? I'm friends. I was having friends come over, and I'm like, I'm testing positive for COVID, so maybe you don't want to come over. You know what I mean? Some people came over, some people did not. And then I was so nervous. I didn't even test before I went. I just thought, I don't want to know. I just traveled. I had a mask on. Got to my dad's because I didn't want to infect my dad. Immediately got a test, and it was negative. So I was like, well, okay. Done.
Got over it.
I'm like,
or was it a fake positive?
I have no idea. It was 4 fake positives.
Yeah.
I was, yeah.
I think, isn't it orange juice or something. There's some
Yeah, people
some
were saying that.
like if you have orange juice, then you're gonna come out with like it's gonna be positive.
When I did the new test in Queensland, like it was one of those influenza A and B,
Right,
like,
right.
were very serious. The other tests that I had were already in my cupboard, but who knows? They were
how old they were.
They were only a year old or something like that, but they were like coming up a faint line.
Yeah.
And then when I did the one in Queensland and was positive, it was like straight away blue,
Yeah, yeah.
or red or whatever, red I think it is,
Yeah, yeah.
and no other line apparent. So
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, what does that mean? Does that mean the virus has left my body? Was there still virus in my body? Like, you know what I mean? I'm always like,
The guy on the cruise was just like pulling your leg.
well, they got really sick, him and his wife.
Oh shit.
That's another story, right?
That's for the next podcast.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Belinda, thanks so much for coming along.
Oh, thank you.
And we finally got there.
I know.
Got to sit down and have a chat.
I hope that people enjoy it. It's not just repetitive, because some stories I have told again, but you haven't heard them, obviously.
No, I haven't heard them, and I'm sure my listeners haven't heard them either.
I'm
And
so
it
excited.
sounds like some really exciting stuff.
Exciting stuff happening. Maybe we'll touch base this time next year.
Yes, please.
Let's do it. If not before.
Yes.
I got plenty of stuff to talk about.
Hey, did you not just say before we started that you wanted to start a podcast?
I did, yes. Maybe I could use your studio.
Maybe you can use my services.
Yeah, of course.
Podcasting services. Hang on. Let me just take a selfie. Amazing.
Yay. Thank you, Andrew.
Again,
I'm
thanks so much
so
for
excited
coming
for your
along.
podcast, and thank you for letting me be a part of it.
I will, so we just did the recording. I'll do the edit, production. It'll be available tomorrow.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah.
Not having that pesky 9-to-5 job anymore.
No, it was all pretty quick. Like anyway, but yeah, I use some AI and stuff like that. So,
Cute.
yeah, it's cool.
I can't wait.
Amazing. Thanks
Thank
everyone
you.
for listening in. Make sure you hit
Thank you,
subscribe, that
guys.
notification bell, and see you guys all in the next one.
Bye.
See ya.